inserting images via frames and using the links palette. See right here, I have my document. I've created two layers here. I have my images on one layer and my text on the other. These are some rectangular frames that I have created. I'm going to use the red boxes to put my text and the blue ones to put my images. First thing I want to do is I want to import some images. So in order to do this, what I do is I select the frame that I want to import the image, and I select File, Place. Now I'll open up a dialog box and I just go ahead and find the images that I want to place in there and click on it, and it brings it in. Now you'll notice if I grab my direct selection tool and select my image, it will show me the actual dimensions of my image, which is this brown shape right here. And I can also move my image around within my box with my direct selection tool. This is one way that you can bring in images. There is an easier way, however, by using your Adobe Bridge feature. If I open Adobe Bridge, it's going to open up Bridge on a separate window. Bridge is basically like a glorified version or a fancy version of Finder, okay, but it works really well with the Adobe Suite. As you can see, I have my individual folders over here, and you can navigate wherever you need to go. I've navigated right to where my images are. Now, the advantage to doing it this way is I can bring in my images quite a bit faster. If I were to come into my InDesign, let's just move this over a little bit, and then go into my Bridge, scale this down, I can see all of my images at the same time. So I can click and drag in the images that I would want to bring in and just drop them. I want that image there. I want this image here, this image here, this image here, just like that. If I select a certain image box, I want it to fit in there properly, I can right click on it and go to my fitting, and you'll notice I have several different options here. Fill frame proportionally, fit content proportionally. You'll also notice if I select this image frame, I have the same options up here. Or I can go into my object, fitting, same options. Okay, so that's three different ways that you can get to your fitting options. The fastest is just to use these up here. Generally, what I like to do is, first of all, I want to center my content in my frame. Again, if I were to select my direct selection tool and click here, you can see this is actually my image, fairly large. Now keep in mind, you may get a little bit confused. If I grab my selection tool and click here, I'm going to move the whole frame. And that may get frustrating because if I just want to move my image, I'm going to have to grab my direct selection tool, and here I can move my image within it. But for now, I'm just going to select my frame and center my content. Usually I want to center my content and fit my content proportionally. I don't want it skewed. I don't want to change my frame. So I'm just going to go ahead and click that one. Now you'll notice right here that my image is actually different dimensions than my frame. If I grab my direct selection tool and select my image, I can obviously stretch it out to fit the frame, but you have to be careful with that because you don't want to skew your image. If I wanted to do that, I could just select my frame and choose fit content to frame. That will make the content fill the entire frame, whether it skews it or not. And you can also do several images at the same time. If I'm just holding shift and I'm selecting all these, I want to center them all, and I want to fit the content proportionally. You may also want to scale your frame, and notice if I select here and I try and scale my frame, it's just going to scale the frame alone and not the picture within it. This could get kind of frustrating. And if I select my direct selection tool, I can scale the picture, but if I want to scale both of them at the same time, I will select them, and you'll notice in your tools panel you'll have a free transform tool. If you click on that, you can scale your frame and your image at the same time. I'm holding shift so that I constrain the proportions. So that's basically how you would place images within your image frames. We can also look at our info panel. If we were to click on a certain image in our info panel, it's going to tell us about the particular image. This particular image here is a JPEG. It's an RGB, and it's actually 75 ppi or dpi. And here's 150 dots per inch resolution image. If I were to print this document, I might want to consider finding other images that are higher quality. You always want to have images that are about 300 dpi or higher for print and 72 dpi for the web. So this would work great for the web, but if I were printing, I may want to reconsider. Your links palette is going to tell you exactly where all these images are located. If I right click on here and say relink, I can relink it with a different image. So I click open and it will replace it with that image. If by any chance any of these links are broken, you will see a yellow triangle over here. For example, if you have everything saved in a particular folder, your InDesign file and all your images, and everything is linked just like a web page, and I were to move my InDesign file to a different folder, these links are all going to be broken. Suddenly it's going to say, hey, I cannot locate your individual images. Your links palette basically connects your images with your InDesign document. It's not actually placing your images in your InDesign file, it's only connecting them to the individual images. So that's basically how you create image frames, place images within them, check the quality and properties of your image, and of course find out how they're all linked together using the links palette.